The 1970s were jam-packed with ups and downs that made the 1970s, well, the 70s. The stereotypical trends established the aesthetic of the decade, but it was the details that make it unique. The events, the products, the experiences, and the people are actually what we remember the most. So let's take a look back at some of the more obscure things that happened that you probably forgot about in the 1970s. Carpet in the 1970s was long and shaggy. This meant that small toys and other things could get lost in the shag. A shag carpet rake was often used to clear any objects from the rug before it was vacuumed, and it also might have saved you from stepping on small objects that were lost in the carpet. You could also use the plastic rake to style the long fibers to cover up any footprints and make it feel more tidy. This is one of those things that has never completely gone away and can still be purchased to this day. Walt Disney World opened its doors on October 1st, 1971. It was the world's largest theme park and cost an estimated $400 million to build. Disney World proved that theme parks could also be vacation destinations, and they set on proving that by continuing to build around the Magic Kingdom new theme parks, resorts, golf courses, and shopping destinations that kept you under the magic bubble of Disney. Rediscover your past by digitizing your family's memories with Legacy Box. Watch until the end of this video to find out more about preserving your legacy, and then visit legacybox.com/recollection. In the early 1970s, the Ford Motor Company was rushing to build a subcompact car to compete with foreign imports. And in 1971, the Ford Pinto was what they came up with. The only problem, though, was it had a fuel tank that wasn't fully protected from rear impacts, which caused it to catch fire even at low speeds. After more than 20 people had been killed and even more injured, the Ford Pinto was recalled in 1978 and would later be discontinued by 1980. On November 8, 1972, the very first subscription-based cable channel was born. Home Box Office, or HBO, offered for the first time commercial-free and uncut movies, which the name implied. But the very first broadcast that went out to the first 365 subscribers of the channel was actually a hockey game between the New York Rangers and the Vancouver Canucks. Following the game, the very first movie aired, which was sometimes a great notion, starring Paul Newman and Henry Fonda. You're probably wondering how much it cost for HBO back in 1972. Well, it was $6 per month. PBS became the first network to air a reality show in 1973. An American Family profiled the Loud family with an intimate look at the parents and their 5 children, who ranged in age from 14 to 20. It attracted an audience of millions when it premiered, and the topics shocked audiences as their lives played out on TV. From getting divorced to their oldest son coming out as gay, the show offered something viewers had never seen before on TV. In June of 1974, a pack of Wrigley's Juicy Fruit bubblegum was the very first product to be scanned using a barcode, called the Universal Product Code. It was at a supermarket in Troy, Ohio, that UPC codes went into use, and they have since become the primary way for cashiers to ring you up at the checkout. Not only did this revolutionize the way stores cataloged and tracked merchandise, but it also sped up checkout times for customers eventually, because UPC scanners did not become widespread until the 1980s. Following the success of the 1975 summer blockbuster, Jaws, it was inevitable that a sequel was on tap. Jaws 2 returned most of the original cast and followed the formula that the original had laid out, but director Steven Spielberg did not return. The famous tagline, "Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water," was the best ad campaign a sequel could ask for. But because the mystery of the shark had been revealed at the end of the first movie, Part 2 didn't have the same fear factor that made the original so good. Despite this, it still performed well at the box office and was a cash cow when it came to merchandising. Did you ever have a set of the Jaws 2 trading cards? In 1975, at the Country Music Awards, controversy rocked the world of country music. Charlie Rich, the previous year's Entertainer of the Year, was the presenter, and when he saw who had won Entertainer of the Year for 1975, Charlie Rich pulled out his lighter and lit the thing on fire. John Denver was the one who won, but with the increasing influence of pop and country music, Rich decided to make a statement before announcing the winner. The camera then cut to John Denver, who accepted via satellite and had no idea what had just happened. In December of 1975, the United States passed legislation meant to convert the country over to the metric system, with President Ford signing it into law just before Christmas. With the rest of the world using millimeters and grams for various measurements, Congress thought it made sense for the U.S. to get on board too. The only problem was that they used the word voluntary when writing the law, therefore it never quite caught on. Although some technical fields related to science, technology, and medicine have implemented it, as they serve a more global market. In April of 1977, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak released what would become a pivotal piece of computer history with the Apple II. This computer was the very first to be completely encased in plastic and could just be plugged in to use. It was also the very first to have color and sound, which had been influenced by Wozniak's time working on Atari games. The Apple II also introduced us to the word spreadsheet as a form of software. Although the Apple II added many new features to what a computer could be, they weren't flying off the shelves. It was merely a start to what Apple would achieve in the 1980s. Following the success of Pong in the US, Space Invaders was released in 1978. The arcade-style game was distributed to bowling alleys, skating rinks, and arcades, where it enticed players to stop descending aliens from invading Earth. Getting your name on the leaderboard was what you obsessed over, and the game was thrilling enough that its popularity spread. The arcade game became heavily imitated, and ultimately it helped to grow the video game industry, and it all started in the 1970s. During this decade, working out and staying in shape became an obsession too. The 1970s saw in-home workout equipment take off. Not only were people buying stationary bikes, but they also bought glide-o-matics, hydraulic rowers, and free weights. Long metal springs were often used to provide resistance in smaller handheld exercise equipment, and many of these devices were made popular through television advertisements and celebrity endorsements. This led to jazzercise classes and later home video workout franchises by the likes of Jane Fonda, Raquel Welch, and Suzanne Summers that dominated the 1980s. Donny Osmond was a teen idol during the 1970s, and one of the most memorable aspects of his performances were his purple socks. There was a bit of mystery as to why he always wore them, but the answer is pretty simple. His mother assigned colors to all of her children because there were so many of them, making it easier to identify them. Purple was Donnie's color, and he wore the socks when he performed, and teenage girls picked up on it. They too began wearing purple to all of his shows, and as he performed, he would see nothing but a sea of purple. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and make sure to sign up for the Recollection Road newsletter using the link in the description. Recollection Road and Legacy Box both believe it's important to preserve the past. If you're like me, there's a box of your family's treasured home movies and photos tucked away somewhere, and Legacy Box can help you preserve them digitally. The process is a simple and safe solution for converting your home movies and photos to thumb drive or to the cloud. Just send in your Legacy Box filled with old VHS and camcorder tapes, film reels, and pictures, and get back digital copies that can be easily enjoyed, shared, and kept organized. It's that easy. Legacy Box is trusted by over 1 million people, and it's all done right here in the USA. Get started preserving your past today. Go to legacybox.com/recollection to get an incredible 55% off. Buy today to take advantage of this exclusive offer and send in your memories when you're ready. Go to legacybox.com/recollection to save 55% while supplies last. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching the other videos in this series. While you're at it, hit subscribe and share Recollection Road with someone you know. As always, thank you so much for watching.